grant insight through the eyes of the dragon, and will guide us through daily lights. And today I want to speak on Saturn. And today we're going to put it on a cross. So what do I mean by that? We're going to use it as the example. So horizontally for the cross, this part or this portion of it is going to be the home and the way. So look at it as what's comfortable and what's uncomfortable, right? So this comfortability is Capricorn and Aquarius. So within cardinal earth and within fixed air, it is able to place its boundaries, restrictions, and limits within how it sees and views reality and how it gains structure within reality. Now, also placing and receiving those boundaries, restrictions, limits, how we see reality, and also gain structure within it. That is home. So it feels right to do that. So it's where it wants to be in a comfortable setting to be able to do Saturn-like things, right? So now we're gonna go to his I'll say his polarity, and it's opposition. But I mean, it does play out like that though, in a way. So his opposition is polarity. That'll be where it does not really want to be at. So it's like going to work. So it's like you're not at home. You're not doing anything in the comfort of your own home. You're not going to work. Now it's time to, make some stuff happen. So with making stuff happen in Saturn, we got to make it happen with Cancer, cardinal water. We also got to make it happen with fixed fire, with Leo. So within that, that means that you could just tell just off of that right there, Saturn is not an emotional planet. Now, I mean, it's not to say nothing just flat out has emotion. It just may not have the capacity or the full percentage or the limits, or it might not have the full percentage of that aspect to be able to, express it well. But Saturn is more so of a thinking and practical and communicative type of planet. Just from its home example, right? That's cardinal earth, fixed air. Now from this polarity, you got cardinal water, fixed fire. So initiating and creating initiating and creating new ways of emotions and feelings and soaking into that by this being water. It doesn't like to do that. It doesn't do anything well with that. So it really has to work towards that, like surfing through all that water from the tide and actually rising above water. That's a struggle for Saturn. Another struggle for Saturn is fixed fire. So that means that being fixed on your own way of seeing and feeling, because fire is seeing and feeling. Water soaks up the emotion, how it can absorb into like clothes and stuff like that. That's soaking up. But fire, it burns through that. So it sees and feels. And when it sees and feels, that's that initiation from Aries to whew. So then when you see it, is Leo. So Leo is the fixed fire. And Saturn can't, if you look at it with oppositions, you're really getting 180. So that's the full 360 spectrum that we're looking for, right? But sometimes it's not always good to add that other 180 just because of, like right now, it's Saturn season. I'm sure we in Capricorn season. So the opposite nature of that is Cancer. Now we got the full moon in Cancer right now, right? So how we internally feel is the energies I'm speaking of, like Cancer. So how we are internally feeling at this moment with how we see and view reality. Or no, I'm gonna say how we see the world we're in right now, like how we are acting upon the world right now. The actions upon the world, like that's automatically at opposition. So that same opposition It's the same opposition I'm explaining with the comfortable and uncomfortable parts of Saturn. So when it comes to seeing and feeling, like water and fire signs, it's more so of a struggle with Saturn. Now, earth and air, I'm not gonna say it's just completely perfect, but I'm gonna say it's at that 50% mark. You'll go more so up to like past 50, and the fire and water signs have more of a struggle with this reality-based type of energy. So it'll be more so under 50% if they're not reaching at 50%. You get what I'm saying? So looking at it, it's like, it's not always, like I said, it's not always good to have the full 360 if it's not the time for it. But if it expresses itself or shows itself, not saying you always have to act on it, or even if you looking at it and using it, you can do that, but just make sure that it's time for that. Because if you're looking at it from a Saturn perspective, it may not always be the time to initiate and create new emotions, or it's not time to be fixed on, or it's not time to be fixed on your vision. You know, you probably gotta go get some results, you know, make something physically happen right now. Or like taking those aspects, like taking the water and the fire aspect within you, because those are the elements that express within you, more so internal. Those, take that and filter it through the air or the fire. I mean, the air or the earth. And then that's how you can make your creative emotions or your creative passions. You can make that filter into something of structure, and it can be more accepted or appreciated at this time, just because of the energy that's most potent right now, right? So now I want to get into its rise and its fall, or its exaltation and its debilitation, right? So now we finna get into the second part, which is this diagonal part or vertical part of the cross. The rise, the fall, debilitation, exaltation. So the rise and fall is Libra, Aries. So when Saturn is at its highest point, it feels its best, is doing everything it wants to do at that moment, or it's doing it so effortlessly and so fluently. Like, it's like its own type of movement, like the same way as water, even though Saturn isn't really a water-based planet, and most of the water planets really don't do as good in Saturn. Like, look at it as the movement as its own water, so it really flows well and travels well because of air, or has somewhere to travel because of the earth. So at least just look at this as like the earth, the air just excuse me, the air traveling on it real well. Like, that's its own flow. It just has somewhere to flow. You feel me? Like, it'll create its own awareness to find somewhere to have it flow at. Like, that's the benefit of it. So like, it's not always as bad as it looks at it, as people put Saturn to. Some just probably gotta work harder than others, you know. So just because of percentage levels and all that, and placements from what we're talking about right now. So so yeah, with going to its fall now, Aries being the fall of Saturn, so that means initiating, creating new ways of passion, motivation, desires, ambitions, you know, creativity of any form, and putting that into action, like wanting to put that into action, like that internal feeling to want to put it in, that is at its low. So Saturn doesn't like to do that. It's not a really, I'm not gonna say it ain't passionate, it's just like that. And fire isn't its passion though. Like, that's not what gets it going. It's like what gets, like how Aries is initiating, creating new ways of how to see and feel. Like, for fire, that's its way of doing that. That's its passion and the way of doing motivation. But then you got the like for example, to the right, how I feel comfortable. Like that's his way of feeling motivated, you know. Structure like things, putting things in place. That's his form of like motivation. Like, you know, saying, I'm gonna say the same energy of as it's creating its own way, but the substance and the after effect, that's just what's different. That's it. But it still ties. So yeah, that's really my take on Saturn. And, you know, shout out to Soul Group, shout out to Subconscious Community, and of course shout out to Dolo for all the amazing knowledge, man. Y'all be easy, man.